supplements don't have legs and they won't sell themselves. Doesn't have to be brain surgery, just has to be simple, and it has to be baked into your gym systems. I can give you a box of subs, but if you don't bake those into your systems, get your team on board, they're not going to sell.
Jason DeRose, what's up, my friend?
Rick Mayo, pumped to be here, buddy.
I know. I'm surprised I haven't had you on here already. I had this epiphany the other day. I'm like, all right, what are we going to talk about this week? And I'm like, we haven't talked about supplements. Now, I know you've done a webinar for us that goes into our on our platform, and I'm sure everyone's heard your voice, seen your beautiful face. But for those of you guys that haven't been living under a rock and don't know who Jason is, tell us who you are and what the company name is, and then tell us also just a little bit about how you got started. Like, why in the world would you want to start a supplement company? I'd love to hear more.
It's some great questions. Jason DeRose. I've been in the fitness industry for about 20 years. I've had my own brick and mortar for the past 16 years. Have 2 locations. So I've been in the trenches. I understand the gym business very well. I used to be one of your mentorees years ago.
Yeah, the old STS days.
STS, baby. Yes. And I was for a long time, up until about 2000, well, probably when the world closed, I was training a lot of pro athletes, and they were coming into my gym. I was kind of selling mixed match products, and one day a guy came in with a briefcase and he was testing the players, drug testing. I'm like, dude, I don't know what's in that stuff I'm giving you. Like, I'm buying it wherever I can get it. This was like in 2014 or 15. And, I went home, and I've always kind of been into subs, trying to get an edge, personally and for my clients. And my wife at the same time, her and I were trying to have children, and she was diagnosed with heavy metals poisoning. And she was a fitness junkie, which I'm sure you know my wife. And
yeah, she's like the fittest person ever, like consistently ready. She looks like she's ready to do a show on a Wednesday. Every year that I've ever seen her, I'm like, I don't know how she does it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't either, and I live with her.
Exactly.
But anyways, we kind of determined that it was probably coming from the supplements she was taking, and so I kind of, I'd met so many people over the years in the industry, and led me down the road of how to even go about thinking of creating my own supplement line. And really, it was just a protein. That's where we started. So back in like 2016, I met with some formulation people, understood the manufacturing process a little bit, got a mentor, like you shouldn't really any business that you want to kind of go down. And in 2017, we launched. It was kind of a disaster. It's right when I was hanging out with you a lot. And, we ironed out a lot of wrinkles. In 2020, when the world closed, we rebranded. Our old name was it SS USA, and I would get emails like for circular saws. People thought we were a tool company, and I said, you know what, we're going to really dumb this thing down and call it Gym Supps, supplement for gyms. So that's what we did in 2020, and we've been, we serve over 1,000 different entities across the country, and we help gym owners profit and learn how to educate them and have their staff on board and better serve their clientele.
Obviously, there's a lot of supplement companies, but I think there's always room for in any market. Like, we're in fitness franchising. There's a lot of fitness franchises. So we get there and people are like, oh, another fitness franchise. It's like, yeah, but I mean, as you know, it's like, it's a unique customer avatar. There just needs to be a couple of tweaks. It's always disruption is better than pioneering. It's not like you're going to come up with a thing that people have never heard of, right? It's probably unlikely that any of us are going to do that. We're not Steve Jobs, but we can look at a market and be like, hey, I think I could do this, right? And you could tweak it or improve it or what have you. One of the things that made you guys unique, and I would love to hear your thoughts on why you chose to go this route and what the benefits are, is that you guys white label all of your supplements. So the company name is Gym Supps, but everything is white labeled. And I love it, but for the branding perspective, but what is your thought on why you chose to white label?
Sure. So, being in the fitness industry, have my own brick and mortar and going down 800 different rabbit holes for marketing, that was just one more of them. And I'm like, fairly social person and have people over and things like that. And I would rather have my brand on my supplements that are sitting on my kitchen counter when my neighbors come over to hang out. Like, hey, is that gym you go to? Yeah, it is. It's sweet, man. You should come try it. Versus like, a big box chain or Sam's Club protein or whatever it might be on your counter. It's another opportunity to brand yourself. And then, with that, the product is so premium that it represents a premium lifestyle, a premium gym. They're not the cheapest supplements on the market. They're not the most expensive, but they probably are one of the cleanest made. So it represents most of the gym owner brands that we represent. We don't go after big boxes. We like studios, higher ticket prices, more of a picky clientele. And that's kind of how we, where we go. And that's where the private label deal was born, mainly selfishly for myself, for my own gym. Had new people like you, hey, if I can get your brand on it, you want to try this thing? It's kind of where it started out of my house, now we're in a 10,000 square foot distribution center. But that's short answer. Yes, it's a great branding opportunity for your gym.
I think that's the advantage that you mentioned earlier of having been a brick and mortar operator first, is that you approached it from, it's a B2B play for you, right? I'm sure there's some B2C activity that goes on, but really you're approaching it as like, I'm going to create this tool for someone like me, which is a boutique fitness owner, to go and help their customers and help them make money. And of course, all your knowledge around how to talk about it and everything, which we'll get into, it's really cool. I mean, I love it because for me, I'm not selling against a brand that you might be able to pick up like on Amazon or at Costco or something, which we'll get into that as far as quality in a minute. But I like the fact that it's proprietary to us. And to your point, if there's a tub of protein sitting on someone's counter at their home and they're having a dinner party, it says alloy on it. You just can't underestimate the value of branding at scale, especially for us. I mean, we just awarded, we're close to 200 locations now and it's going quick. So imagine all those alloy tubs of protein and greens and multivitamins and all the things kicking around in all these households, right? It's going to be awesome. So
it doesn't stop, and so many of us in the same industry do Chinese auctions and all that stuff. It's the perfect opportunity. Your stuff sitting there, just showing everyone who you are, there's so many things you can do with it. But yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. Like 200 locations with alloy branded supplements on there. I mean, just another opportunity to grow the brand.
Yeah, 100%. And I will say that the process was relatively seamless for us. I mean, we hired a graphics person to build our graphics because we wanted it to match all the other branding that we had. And it was very easy, in that process to get you guys those designs and have you create those labels. There wasn't any friction at all. And I know you guys do some in-house design work for maybe a one-off gym or something if they don't want to spend the money, to hire a graphics person to do it.
We actually at this point do it with super talented graphic designers. We do it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. Well, let's talk about quality because I think we touched on that a bit already. And I think that's probably, from what I heard from you, it's one of the driving forces in why you created it, with whether it be the misses, having some metals in our system, whatever that may be. That's really important to us. I mean, we are a premium brand. We're on the upper end even of the boutique fitness segment, meaning we're selling personal training, which, we're like, there's the regular fitness segment, there's boutique. And even for boutique, we're on the upper end of that. So quality is really important to us and our customer avatar. Can you speak a little bit to what some of your views are on either quality control? What did you do when you started the company to make sure that all of those things were in place? And then we can sort of kick back and forth some ideas and maybe some fear mongering on some really crummy things that we have seen in the industry, since it's not regulated by the FDA. A lot of people don't realize that you can make all kinds of wacky claims. So we'll start with that. What did you do to put those quality controls in place? Why was that important to you?
Sure. So I did a lot of research first, which, took a lengthy amount of time. I wanted to take my time and do it right. And, what I learned and I still truly fully believe in is that if you heat process any product, you're baking the daylights out of it. You can do mass amounts of it. These are your big box gym proteins, especially. The FDA, most manufacturers, I would say, are probably FDA regulated, but they only test after processing. So, which makes zero sense to me, but doesn't really matter I think. That's how they do it. So, if you were to test a giant, I call it the Jethro bag of protein that you can get like at a Costco or Sam's Club, what's on that label might not match up with what's in the package just because of how it was processed. Prior to processing, they may have some documentation that shows that, but it got baked down and baked out of that product. The alternative solution to that is there's only one, and it's cold pressing the powders. However, the raw ingredient form is when it goes in is exactly the way that it comes out. And we take it one step further is we microfiltrate all of our powders. So they get cold pressed first, then they go through ceramic filters that takes all of the microscopic things that you can't see, such as heavy metals, things like that are in the powder, and we're able to discard them and have the pure product in hand. A lot of folks feel like they have an allergy to whey protein. It's a pretty popular allergy. And from what I've learned, it's really not the whey that they're allergic to. It's all the stuff that's in there they can't see. I have people that say, I've been able to take whey protein my whole life, but for some reason I can take yours. I'm not surprised. Right. Yes, there is a whey allergy. It can happen, but it's very rare from what I've learned.
Yeah, that would be analogous to I went to Italy recently. And I took my daughter. My son lives over there now. He's stationed in Naples, Italy. And I took my daughter and her boyfriend, and he's real sensitive to pastas and pizza and stuff like that. It messes up his gut. And he ate nothing but pizza and pasta while we were there, had no problems at all. But it was all in the process, right? It's like, it's not whey. It's maybe the way it's manufactured, or to your point, all the extras or preservative. Who knows what's in that, right? That causes that. So that makes sense that it wouldn't necessarily be the whey. Right. And plus you've got veggie protein anyway, if it really is. You can go vegan protein.
For sure. And just on top of that, when I started this company, I made my first batch of protein. I'll never forget it. It came from the lab at the sample. It looked really cool. It tasted horrendous. But it's so clean. And I learned in 2 hours sampling it at my gym that people are paying $300 a month. They will cheat on me in 2 seconds. I had to blow them away with taste. So now, How can you get it super clean, use no artificial sweeteners, and make it taste like Cocoa Puff cereal? And that's pretty much what we worked on until we were able to accomplish that. Because if it doesn't taste amazing, they're not going to continue to buy it. And we've developed very, very loyal consumers because of the
and I will say, and look, I've been lifting weights and been around this like you forever, right? And it's like,
you work out?
I do. I only do curls in the squat rack, but it's still an important exercise, Jason. Very functional. I was teasing somebody about that. Everybody gives me crap, as you know, about that, because it's not even really true. But I'll just do it because it's fun. But somebody was saying why work your arms? It's not functional. I'm like, the function of my arms is to look like I work out. So by default, by doing biceps, that is functional training.
Super functional.
Very functional. Yes. But to your point, with quality control, and again, you hate to fearmonger people, but if you're listening to this and you're buying your supplements at Costco or from Amazon, to Jason's point, if they're only being tested before, processing, and the processing, is cooking it, or again, ruining the integrity, you may have a bag of protein, and there have been some third-party companies that do test after, right? And those are the ones you read where it's like, hey, this serving of this protein is 24 grams of protein, as an example. And then when it's tested afterwards, it'll be 3 or 6. I mean, it's not even close to what the claims are, right? Not even
in the same hemisphere, right?
Not even in the same hemisphere. So people are literally just putting gunk. It's just a filler. It does nothing for you. And typically, we're using tools, as are you, like the InBody and things, to really understand what someone's lean mass is. And as you know, our average age category is 45 to 65. We're not as efficient at processing protein. So we tend to, prescribe maybe a little bit higher protein than normal, just through inefficiencies of digestion as we get a bit older, just so that we can hit these targets. Because, having guys like Alan Argon on the podcast, who was like, listen, there's research now, and he's the research guy, real research that supports just protein synthesis alone will add lean tissue to your body, even if you don't strength train, which is crazy, right? So it's like just getting adequate protein as we're getting sarcopenia from age 30 on, which is just muscle loss for those of you guys that don't know the term. It is uber important. And of course, you got Peter Attia and Dr. Gabrielle Lyons, all these people coming out, and it really lends itself to what we're doing. A big part of that is getting adequate protein. So you got to know what you're getting. I know for us, we have a dietitian on the team, and she reached out and fully vetted all the products and said, yeah, they're amazing. And to your point, we got them in. I tasted it. And I'm like, this thing must be loaded with sugar because it tastes so good, right? And I looked at it. It wasn't. I'm like, I don't know what's in here, but dude, it's the best tasting protein after 30 some odd years. And it is important because for you and I, we would probably drink some nasty stuff just because it was good for us. Clients aren't going to do that. The expectation is it's going to be much better. So anyway, props to you. And the quality is really good. And what does that mean? third-party testing. What does that mean? Because like some people might say, oh, it's third-party tested, but like, what does that even mean? Can you describe
Sure.
that?
So if you're running like a run of, let's just say 1,000 vanilla protein, then you're going to randomly select some of those from that SKU number, that run, and get those third party tested to make sure that what's on that label is inside the container. And that's a third
And
party.
you're doing that after processing.
Correct.
Cool. Is there like a regulation process around that, like a certification or something like that? Or is it just you have to choose the right third-party testing company? What does that look like?
There's different third-party companies you can choose from. Kind of, you need to find one that fits what your business model. My business model is very unique because we represent so many different brands. Even on, to kind of follow up on the same point, folks ask a lot about NSF certification, which is really popular. We are an NSF certified laboratory. So the NSF come in, they come into our facility, make sure everything's lining up, but we cannot put the stamp on the actual container because every brand is different and every brand would need its own certification, which would be astronomical. We can put it on our website, on the other gyms sites that have sites, but you can't put it on the container. FDA, we're allowed to put it on we can put the stamp on every single container that we have. So all of the alloy containers have the FDA regulated stamp, which is CGMP, which is good manufacturing processes.
So there is the other third-party testing just based on the fact that you're white labeling and there's so many different brands, you can't put that on the container.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Very cool. Well, let's talk turkey then. So at the end of the day, you saw a niche in the market. You created a supplement to fit that niche. You were already a gym owner, so you understood what your customer avatar, which is the gyms that you service, what they would want, their customers are going to want. Really great quality because that was important to you based on personal experience as well as just what you want to put into market. But I think at the end of the day, and you and I get this, like you can have the best product in the world, but if you don't market it and you don't talk about it, no one's going to buy it, right? So what have you seen as your best practices from all the brands that you work with to really drive engagement and purchasing these supplements?
For sure. I'm glad you brought that up. It's one of the most important things that go along with it. I think I told you this before we started the show today. Supplements don't have legs and they won't sell themselves. It doesn't have to be brain surgery, it just has to be simple and it has to be baked into your gym systems. If you have a system for having your toilets cleaned, you have to have a system for selling your supplements. Same practices. It's really no different. And, I can give you a box of subs, but if you don't bake those into your systems, get your team on board, they're not going to sell. Number one, Rick, and this is by far the best selling tool that exists, and I would argue this with pretty much anybody, is sampling. If you don't sample the product to your clients, they're not going to initially buy it. They're not going to buy a jug of protein for $55 if they don't taste it first. That sounds very easy. It can be, and it can be very challenging for gym owners to produce and build into their practices. But what I've seen, and I personally use in my own gym, is a calendar. In my 2 locations, there's an old school desk calendar. I've tried this on Google Calendar. Just didn't work. I don't know what happens, but there is some studies about there's an emotional response when you have to put pen to paper. So we have a desk calendar in each location. On that calendar, we'll have the samples that are going out and after what sessions are going out. They're randomized throughout the month. Whoever's working that has to initial that happened. If we don't do that step, then a lot of times those samples won't happen. And this is nothing crazy. It's some little clear shot glasses and a shaker with ice cold water. We don't have to use milk or anything. We don't have to use a blender. You can get fancy if you prefer. I don't think it's really necessary. Mix up a BCA. It's crystal clear. Boom, pop it in there after they're sweaty and tired and they're thirsty. Bang, you're talking to them about protein synthesis, all those type of things on the way out. And we do like a special of the week, a supplement of the week. And we put those all around that area with a little info card. I know Alloy has the info cards. It'll say whey protein, advantages, blah, blah, blah. Maybe we're doing 20% off that week. And you just start pumping them. And now you have a loyal customer and consumer that's going to buy that protein. Probably, even if they unfortunately stop coming to your gym, they'll probably still buy your protein. Right. I see it all over the place. So sampling is number one, but really most importantly is systemizing sampling into your gym business. If you don't build a system for it, it'll go by the wayside and disappear.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've got, like at Alloy, we have a marketing calendar. We do monthly meetings with our franchisees. We do a weekly meeting during pre-sale. Then after that, we do a monthly meeting, and those sample supplements are on the calendar, right? It's like there's a spot for that. So you can't really miss it. If we're holding you accountable to fill in your marketing calendar, there's a spot there for supplement of the month and samples, right? So
you guys probably started that about a year and a half ago or so, and your sales jumped up. I mean, they followed the trend. There's no question.
Yep. Yeah, love it. So what else? So samples first.
You talked about the InBody. I think it's obviously it's just a great accountability tool for your clientele. It professionalizes your services, but it's a gateway to sell supplements, especially protein, because we are a very underserved community in terms of protein. And you're talking to them about their skeletal muscle mass. Oh, so tell me about your diet. Oh yeah, okay. Well, look, instead of eating at McDonald's 3 times a week, we're going to bump in your greens. We're going to make you less ravenous. And I'll tell you what, let's mix it with a vanilla protein. You're going to have a green machine, and it's just an ample opportunity to, number one, get them better results. So they continue to come to your gym and tell more people about you. And number two, to sell your supplements. But you having an InBody discussion and always talking about supplemental things that can help them reach their goals is huge.
Yeah. And for those of you guys that are like, if you're with Alloy, you already have an InBody machine, it's required. But if you're not with Alloy and you're looking at it, we have a body composition measuring tool called InBody, which comes from the medical community. You can go back and search the podcast. I've had one of their guys that was with them when they were founded on the podcast to talk about it. But it's the most accurate electrical impedance machine for measuring body comp. And one thing it does, obviously, is measure muscle mass. And that's our starting point for prescribing the number of grams of protein per pound of lean body weight. And so that's what Jason's talking about, is we have all these opportunities to put people on there. And it's like, how much protein do you eat? And I'm like, I don't really know. Well, we also have an app that pulls in MyFitnessPal library. So it's like, you can just track your protein for a week. Normally, and you know this, Jason, if you're trying to hit a protein goal, sometimes that's the only nutritional hack that you need to really cut out a lot of junk. Because I know for me it happens because it might be at night, and I'm 225, 230 pounds. So I'm trying to get 230 grams of protein a day. I have to do 2 shakes with like 50 grams each just to be able to hit that, right? Because I just don't have time to eat all that much protein. And so it'll be, 8:00 at night, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to eat some ice cream, and then I'm like, oh crap, I still have to have my shake, just because it's like, I've got to get my protein in, and I'm disciplined enough to drink the shake first, which tastes pretty darn good anyway. And it sort of, appeases my sweet tooth, right? And it also like fills me up. So I'm like, I don't have any ice cream. So like, look, man, it's a very simple strategy to your point. This many grams of protein. Now we have a tasty tool that can help you fill in the gaps, because most people aren't going to be able to eat enough, certainly vegan protein, much less even animal protein, to get them there. So it's a great sales tool, and we talk about it every time. Like, InBody is the discussion to go to supplements. And I hope people hear this, and I know that you believe this as well. Like, we're not selling somebody a useless widget that only puts money in our pocket. These are solutions for customers that are there for a specific reason. And if you can get them to take these supplements, it's a solution-based sale, right? They're high quality, but like, you're selling them something that will literally get them to their goal faster. Would you agree?
1,000%. And when you are protein deficient and you're working out, like in an Alloy or any type of gym where you're lifting weights and things like that, and you're under proteined, you're going to be ravenous. Just like you said, you don't want that ice cream because you have enough protein in your body. Your muscles aren't eating themselves. So you're not like rip down your pantry or your freezer.
Yeah, 100%. Or like, it's a great strategy during the holidays. Like, hey, I've got to get this much protein. I'm headed out to a holiday party where they're going to have like heavy hors d'oeuvres and maybe a sit down dinner, and it's a bunch of alcohol. And it's like, well, I have to get all this protein in. So it's 6:00. So let me drink a protein shake before I go. I just won't eat as much. I'm just not as hungry, right? And the protein shake tastes good enough to, again, tickle that little bit of that sweet tooth as well. So yeah, I mean, I think it helps all the way around. It's probably the most impactful thing that I've done in 30 some odd years. I'm keeping my body fat less than 10%. I'm old as dirt these days. So it's like, part of it, like, how I'm like, I don't know, I eat whatever I want. But my only goal every day is to hit my protein goal. But in doing that, it eliminates a lot of junk food, because I just don't want to eat that much more. I'm just done. So,
For sure.
All right. So samples first and foremost, right? Second, using the InBody, which is our body comp in general, but we use the InBody, and then that leads to great discussions. And I think you had one more main point you wanted to talk about.
Yes, and this one's a very important one: is getting your team on board, making sure your trainers and your front desk, whatever, however your business is set up, they have to know about the products, why they're better, when to use them, and we give our trainers 35% off, so which is almost, we might make a couple dollars to cover shipping or something like that. We don't want to make any money off of our staff, but we want them using our products at all times while they're on the floor. They're talking about, dude, did you just squat 300? Oh my gosh, dude, you're taking your protein at night, aren't you? And those discussions are going. And we always talk about the supplement of the week when we're demoing and going over like a session to start. If we have 6 or 8 people in there, we're just talking about, what the supplement of the week is, why it's important, and the discount or whatever. And like you said, guys, this isn't just to sell our stuff and get you using it. It's to help you get to your goals. So really, really driving that point home for them. This is a tool in your toolbox to be healthier, and things like that are really, really important. But, educating your staff is giant. The gym owner thinks stuff and throws it under the desk. It's, it's not going to educate your team.
Yeah. And I think most trainers are taking supplements. They do believe in them. Mm-hmm. So now they're able to, and we do the same thing, and that's our recommendation. They're able to buy supplements at cost, right? For their own. It's one of the biggest advantages. Like when you're hiring coaches, you're like, hey, you get your supplements at cost now. They're like, it's like, because they're buying them anyway. So they're going to get a really good quality supplement at a much less expensive price than they would on their own. But they have to be using them. Like it's always easy for me to sell something. I think I told you before we started recording, like I spend about $300 a month on supplements at cost, right? Because I get them just like our
I see your orders come through.
Yeah, that'd be like $600 a month if I had to spend it, and I'd gladly spend it because it's a meal replacement in some ways. It's greens, it's multivitamin, and you guys have some interesting supplements, but most of them are right on the nose with what people need. These aren't like wild, crazy,
I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah, you want to speak about that a little bit? Like all we have in our store are things that people need, like a fish oil. I mean, these are health-based supplements, not wacky stuff. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, there's a gazillion things formulations, concoctions you can come up with. However, our gym clientele needs a certain few of them to really help them reach their goals and things like that. If you want something weird, some type of root from Africa, then you might have to order that on Amazon. Right. We're going to give you what you need to reach your goals, feel really good, help prevent, ravenous things like that and protein deficiencies. Every product we have is built for our clientele exactly based off of strict research. This isn't my opinion. This is what people are buying. This is what people need in our space. Maybe not in like the big box space. Maybe it's different. In our space, this is what we need.
Yeah, I mean, if you're 20 years old and you want to buy a pre-workout with a bunch of yohimbe bark and gosh knows what in it, you know what I mean? And You're buying it at GNC from your buddy who works there. It's like, that's cool. That's not who we are. We have a sophisticated customer. They're smarter than the average bear, and they're going to understand that stuff's just wacky. So like, one thing that we've done that you guys helped us with was to make pre-made bundles in there. So we've got a bundle for the most common goal, which would be like weight loss or fat loss. We've got a bundle for vitality, which again, our customer base being 45 to 65-ish, just feel better, live better, right? And then we have one based on performance. And there's just some slight variations, but all of them have a protein supplement, either vegan or whey, whatever you're into, right? They both work. We've got a multivitamin. You're going to have a fish oil. I mean, all the things that you'll hear any health expert and any doctor that's worth their salt telling you that you should probably take because you're not going to get it from your diet, even if you're pretty diligent. Most people aren't. Even if you were, probably not getting enough of it, right? So,
for sure. Yeah, and we make any new product. Like we just came out with our collagen peptide protein powder. It has 18 grams of protein. There's rarely any on the entire universe that have that much protein in there. It's unflavored. It has hyaluronic acid, which many people know it's for like healthy skin, hair, and nails, but it really helps joint lubrication, which our demographic drastically need. So that's where those formulations come from. Like, what do we need as a community, a fitness community? And that's where every product is built.
Yeah, and I mean, just to even take it a step further, in our store, with these pre-made bundles, we worked with you guys to have the default setting in the supplement store be toggled to subscription based, right? Which means if you like, imagine I'm talking to Sally. She has a weight loss goal. She has a hard time meeting her protein goal. Her diet has some gaps in it. You can see it. Maybe have her do food recording for a week through our app. And I'm like, listen, I'm going to send you a link. It's got everything that you're going to need month over month, right? Just, when you click on it, it's going to be set at subscription. Pop your credit card in. You're going to get it shipped to your house every single month. That way you don't have to worry about forgetting it or running out or whatever. And then, and as a business owner, I don't have to stock all of it. Like I stock some, I'm going to sell retail there. But also, like if I've got, like we're a coaching gym, I would say probably the biggest thing for us to use that, like coaches using it, just telling your clients to take it. Like you are the coach, you are the expert in their eyes. Hey, based on your goals, this is what you need to do. Not like, do you want to? It's like, no, you need to do this. And I mean it, right? Like you really need to do this to be successful. And typically at the price point that we're selling, a couple $100 a month or whatever that is, not a lot of money for a lot of folks. I mean, it's not chump change, but you know what I mean? Like that's not going to make a deal breaker to get high quality supplements. So
for sure,
we'll have these bundles set. We zip them the link. They click on it. The default setting is subscription. If they just pop their credit card in, they're going to get it every month. That way they're not going to miss, which helps them with their health goals. We're still going to realize our commissions, right? Which is important. And then we don't even have to stock it. So all these things you guys have in place that we've built with you guys that any other gym can as well. And again, if you're with Alloy, you need to be doing it. If you're looking at an Alloy, all the stuff is already built out for you. So I think, to add to the selling, like what's a personal training gym? You're the expert. Tell them that they need it because they do need it. So just tell them to take it, right? And I don't mean that like in a way
they trust you.
Man, just freaking tell them. I mean, they trust you. Their health is in your hands. You should be a responsible coach. You should be telling them to take it. I take it. I would, again, at retail, I'd spend $600 a month on it all day long. I would be remiss to not tell someone in my same age category to do the same. Why would I do that? Like, it doesn't make any sense, right?
Sure.
So anyway, I digress. You just get me.
I think a big subscriptions are definitely a good thing especially for that, that person that just needs to get them every month and keep them going. Some feedback I got from a lot of the Alloy operators is we don't require any minimums. So they'll order like 1 fish oil and 5 proteins, and we ship it out within like 48 hours max. I say that, but usually things go out within 24 hours. We're on the East Coast. Most of your Alloys, I know you're growing toward the other ocean, but in Atlanta, you guys get products within 2 days. So that helps. That's a big differentiator. What gym owner wants 48 chocolate proteins sitting around there?
Right. Where are you going to put them? Like in an Alloy studio, there's no room for that.
Yeah.
1,500 to 2,000 feet. Where are we putting a pallet of protein? Where's that going? Right.
I'll get an email and say, hey, I did that pre-ordering thing you said. Like I have 15 people want a vanilla protein. Cool, man. Like I put my order in. It's already on its way. It's cool. Freaking
awesome, dude. Well, again, your lens on approaching this business was through the lens of someone who owned the exact model of the people you're servicing. So you built it based on those best practices. It's sure. Awesome. I love it. Shoot, man, that's all I have. Now, I did get all excited about announcing you, and I forgot to do a dad joke, but it's never too late. So what you got for me? Let's go.
Man. Well, we just had Halloween. So I have a 6-year-old that's very ornery. I mean, oh gosh, she has an attitude of a 17-year-old. So we were at soccer practice Wednesday, and they were talking about what their favorite candy bar was. And my daughter said, I got Butterfinger. I got 6 Butterfingers. I said, hey, Mina, I got a Butterfinger this morning. She looked at me, and her friends looked at me, and I went, when I was making your toast, I put my finger in your butter. I had a Butterfinger. She went,
oh, and they're already eye rolling you at 6. That is pretty bad, by the way.
Right?
That's pretty bad, right? You're like, but I used it. It's a real dad joke. Like, even when I think I'm being funny now, I don't know if it's just my age. People are like, oh, I love your dad jokes. I'm like, that's not a dad joke. Like, that's actually a pretty funny joke. And they're like, I'm like, all right, whatever. As long as you laughed, I don't care. So I've got one. I'm going to go for it. It's maybe a little off color, but it's Alloy. What am I going to do? So Jason, I have to read it because I forgot. It's so good though. What do a small pair of underpants and a small dance floor have in common?
I do not know.
No ballroom. It's so bad. If you're listening to this and you're offended, you're probably not going to be great for our culture anyway. So
I love it.
So be it. but I knew you would, my friend. Listen, great having you on. If you're with Alloy, go check out all the webinar that we've already done with Jason. We were talking about maybe having him do an updated one. Reach out to these guys if you need any help. We've got playbooks for it. Your customers need it. We've got the ideal solution. I don't know what else to say. Well, how can people get a hold of you if they're not with Alloy and they want to find out more about Gym Supps?
Yeah, if you go to gymsupps.org, there's an info form there. You can easily fill that out. We have a hyper responsive team. We're all family owned and operated still, so you get like a real person that I know that's going to be in communication with you. But I think number one, Rick, I want to thank you for having me on today. And and this is something that we haven't talked about, but you are in a class of your own. We serve a lot of different franchises, a lot of different multi-gym owners. And the ethical means that you have about yourself and the way you run your business, you are in a league in a whole different class of your own than your competition. And hats off to you and everyone that works with you. Yeah, you guys have a great culture, and we really appreciate serving you guys.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot coming from you. And likewise, I mean, look, we pick our vendors because people we like to work with, right? Like if I was a gym owner, would I want to work with you? The answer is yes. Then and you run a good business and you make a great product. So again, it's a great partnership, man. Stronger together. That's how it works, right?
Love it. I love it.
All right. Well, listen, we'll have you back on in the future. Appreciate you, man. Good to see you as always. Peace.